Are you tired of constantly battling competitors? Then this video is for you, because the real path to winning isn't fighting in the crowd, it's stepping out of it. The Blue Ocean Strategy is a business revolution that says you don't need to beat the competition, you need to make it irrelevant. In this video, we'll discover how you can reposition your business, product, or service in a way that eliminates competition, creating a market where you're alone and victory is assured. So if you're thinking about moving away from the crowd to innovate and create a new market, make sure to watch this video until the very end. Let's get started. Chapter 1, Part 1, Breaking Free from the Crowd. If you're doing what everyone else is doing in today's world, believe me, you're lost in the crowd. And that's the biggest mistake any business or brand can make. In today's world, real success comes to those who know how to walk a different path from the crowd, who create blue ocean places where there's no competition.
This is the true essence of the Blue Ocean Strategy. For years, we've lived with the idea that to win in the market, you have to beat others. In other words, if someone else takes a customer, I've lost out. This is called red ocean thinking, where blood is spilled, competition is fierce, and profits slowly bleed away like blood. But the Blue Ocean Strategy says the real game is where no one is playing. It's about finding a place, an innovation, an offer where no competitor has reached yet. Now think, did Netflix win by fighting Blockbuster? No. They created a model that companies like Blockbuster couldn't even imagine. Did Uber compete with taxi drivers? No. They transformed travel into a new experience. Similarly, you can present your business or idea in such a way that people ask, "This is something new." The first step of this strategy is value innovation, meaning innovation that is not just new, but brings real value to the customer. You need to design your product or service so that people embrace it, not because they have to, but because they're happy to. And this will only happen when you create a real difference for them, whether by lowering prices, improving the experience, or offering a benefit that wasn't available before.
The Blue Ocean Strategy states that you need to do 4 things. What can be eliminated, what can be reduced, what can be raised, and what can be created. This is known as the 4 actions framework. This means you don't need to blindly follow your industry standards. Everyone else is offering videos, PDFs, and tests, but have you considered what a difference it would make if you offered live mentoring, community support, and personalized feedback? That would be the difference that turns a red ocean into a blue ocean. The second crucial point is viewing customers from a new perspective. This refers to those who find current solutions complex or whose needs haven't been understood by anyone. If you understand these non-customers and create solutions for them, you can create a new market. Another powerful component of this entire concept is the strategic canvas. This is a visual tool that tells you where you stand compared to your competitors and where you can improve. It also shows you in which areas you're stuck in the red ocean and how you can break free. So if people in your industry are fighting over price, can you focus on the experience? If everyone is investing in technology, can you win by improving service? Adopting this strategy doesn't mean you'll never face competition. It means you carve out a path for yourself that's currently empty, and you become the first to walk it. By the time others understand your strategy, you'll be far ahead. Remember, the magic of the Blue Ocean Strategy lies in thinking differently from the crowd, in the courage to forge new paths, and in the understanding that recognizes a customer's real needs before anyone else does. Chapter 1, Part 2, The Path to the Blue Ocean. Now the question is there a path that leads away from competition? The Blue Ocean Strategy answers this very question. It says that success goes to those who create their own unique direction, who don't just improve the existing market, but create a new market space. Imagine, when everyone else is running in the same direction, if you choose a path no one has taken, there will be no competition there, and the possibilities will be limitless. This is the power of the blue ocean. Traditional businesses often operate in red oceans, where there's intense competition, margins are low, and there's more copying than innovation. But the blue ocean strategy advises you to design your strategy in such a way that you create an entirely new market where you have a near monopoly situation. This isn't achieved solely through product innovation, but through value innovation, where you offer more value to the customer while reducing costs. When Apple launched iTunes, it wasn't just another music platform. They created a new market space where people found a legal, easy, and affordable way to buy music. Unlike Napster and other illegal download sites, iTunes created a blue ocean. Now apply this mindset to your own work. Think, can you create a service or product that doesn't yet exist, but people need? If you just keep copying others, you'll stay stuck in the red ocean. But if you understand your customers' hidden needs and create something new, you can create a blue ocean.
The blue ocean strategy also teaches us that simply having new technology isn't enough. Innovation doesn't mean you've built something high-tech. Innovation means creating value. If your product or service makes people's lives easier, that's real innovation. Look at Uber. Taxi services existed before, but Uber made calling, tracking, and paying for a taxi so easy that they created a new experience in transportation. They created a blue ocean. They didn't just improve the taxi business. The blue ocean strategy says, first, understand your customer. What do they want? What are their frustrations? What are they willing to spend money on? Then, based on this information, provide a solution that no one has offered yet. This approach is completely different from traditional business thinking, where competition is observed first and then strategies are built accordingly. Blue ocean thinkers don't ignore competition. They think above it. Their thought is, what can I do that no one else is doing? How can I create a path that will be uniquely mine? This approach not only brings growth, but also gives you a distinct identity in the industry. So the next time you start a new product or business, ask yourself this question: am I going into the red ocean where everything already exists, or am I creating a blue ocean where no one is? This question can change your path. Chapter 2, Part 1. Competition-free waters. Did you know that most businesses spend all their energy just fighting each other? The same old customers, the same old market, the same old strategies. And then when profits start to decline, they either lower prices or cut costs. But the blue ocean strategy shows us a completely different path, a path where there's no competition. Now, you might be thinking, is this really possible? Let's uncover this mystery a bit more. When companies swim in the red ocean, it's stained with blood, meaning competition is so intense that it becomes difficult to survive. But the blue ocean is a zone where you can create your own space. No competition, no pressure. And this isn't just a theory. The world's biggest companies have been built on this strategy. Now the question is, how can a company step into a blue ocean? To do this, we first need to understand value innovation. Value innovation means both increasing value and reducing cost. Yes, both at the same time. Most companies either focus on cost cutting or start selling expensive products by increasing quality. But the blue ocean strategy says that the real magic happens when you do both at once. A great example is Cirque du Soleil.
In the world of circuses, where there was competition for animals, star performers, and tickets, this company eliminated animals, got rid of expensive stars, and created a show that was a blend of theater, dance, and music. As a result, the entire industry changed. No competition, no pressure, just audience love and a rain of profits. The Blue Ocean Strategy says you have to break your industry's rules. You have to ask yourself, am I doing what everyone else is doing? Am I providing the same service every company is offering? If your answer is yes, then understand you're in the red ocean. Now let's talk about the tool that helps you find a blue ocean, the strategy canvas. This is like a graph where you can visualize the differences between yourself and your competitors. It tells you where you're giving more, where you're weaker than competitors, and where you have an opportunity to do something new.
The second part of the strategy canvas is the 4 actions framework. It asks 4 questions. First, is there anything that can be eliminated? Second, is there anything that can be reduced? Third, is there anything that can be raised? Fourth, is there anything that can be completely newly created? When you find the answers to these 4 questions, a new business model emerges before you that customers not only love, but also creates an entirely new space in the market. If you create an innovation, but it lacks that wow factor, people won't adopt it. That's why the Blue Ocean Strategy places equal importance on emotional appeal. Another excellent example is Yellowtail Wine. This brand shook up the entire wine industry simply because they targeted beer drinkers instead of speaking the language of wine lovers. They kept the taste simple, made the bottle colorful, and kept the marketing friendly. The result? An entirely new category was created. The Blue Ocean Strategy is a mindset. It's a perspective that tells you to think outside the market crowd, not within it. If you keep doing what everyone else is doing, you'll get what everyone else is getting. But if you dare to do something different, an ocean will open up before you where only you will be, and your success. The essence of this chapter is that the first step of the Blue Ocean Strategy is to ask yourself the right questions. And when you ask the right questions, the answers start to come naturally. Whether you run a small startup or a large company, this strategy has enough power to completely change your direction. Chapter 2, Part 2, The New Meaning of Innovation. If you want your company to not just survive but grow exponentially, there's one crucial thing to understand. Innovation doesn't just mean technology. True innovation is what creates value, not just what boosts profits. Let's take this entire thought process one step further. Imagine you're viewing your product or service like a movie. In a movie, some characters are essential, some scenes can be cut, and some twists bring the story to life. Similarly, in your business model, some things are crucial, some should be changed, and some entirely new elements can be added. This is the real power of the 4 actions framework. Now, when you apply this framework to your company, you'll find that most companies focus too much on things that no longer make sense for the customer. For example, in the old days, airlines used to focus solely on luxury seats, meals, and in-flight entertainment. But Southwest Airlines eliminated all of that. They said, "We will provide a cheap, easy, and on-time travel experience." When you start doing this, that's when the real opportunities emerge. Now let's talk about another revolutionary tool, the Buyer Utility Map. Its purpose is to understand where your customer genuinely finds value in your service or product. You might think that low price is everything, but often convenience, usability, or the fun factor have a greater impact. This map is divided into 6 stages and 6 utility levers, such as purchase, delivery, use, maintenance, and then customer productivity, simplicity, fun, environmental friendliness, risk, and cost savings. When you start focusing on every corner of this map, you'll see where the customer is frustrated, where there's boredom, and where there's an opportunity to do something different. Now, suppose you're developing a healthcare app. Most apps only offer symptom checking, some calling features, and some AI-based reporting. But if you look at what the customer truly needs, perhaps they require more clarity, privacy, and a human touch. Then you can create something better than any other app. This is the Blue Ocean strategy, which moves you away from direct competition and into a new direction. There's a significant danger in this entire process: getting caught up in the trap of market research. Most companies conduct surveys, call focus groups, and then rely on the same information that every other company is seeing. But Blue Ocean strategy says that the best information you get is from non-customers, meaning those people who are still outside your industry. These non-customers have 3 tiers. Here's another important thing to understand. Blue Ocean strategy is a discipline, a way of thinking that guides creativity and transforms chaos into clarity. It not only makes you different from your competitors, but also surprises your customers positively. So far, we've learned what to look for to create a sound strategy: value innovation, the 4 actions framework, the buyer utility map, and understanding non-customers. By using all these tools, you can create a new version of your company, a version that is not just improved, but completely different. And that's the essence of this part. It's better to sail in a blue ocean than to fight in a red ocean.
Chapter 3, Part 1. Game-changing strategy. The day you stop looking at your competitors and start focusing on the customer's unseen needs, that's when your real strategy begins. And the most powerful step in this process is the strategy canvas. The strategy canvas isn't a fancy model. It's a mirror that shows what your company and your competitors are truly focusing on. It's like a graph where the x-axis represents industry competition factors and the y-axis represents the performance of your company and other brands on those factors. When you create this graph, things suddenly become clear. What battle are you fighting, and is that battle winnable? Most companies are following similar value curves. Everyone is offering similar features with only slight variations. But if your curve is different from all of theirs, if it shows something no one else is doing, then you're standing in a new place. Like Cirque du Soleil did. They blended circus and theater. Yet they were called a circus, but the price was that of theater. And the customers, they weren't the people who came to see the old circus. They were professionals, business-class people, who wanted an emotional and aesthetic experience. With the help of the strategy canvas, Cirque du Soleil positioned itself in a new sector. Now, to deepen this process, comes the Pioneer Migrator Settler Map. This means that your portfolio should have 3 types of business units. Settlers are those in the red ocean with not much differentiation. Migrators are those who are somewhat different but aren't offering a new value proposition. And then come pioneers, those who change the entire industry's direction. A successful company is one with more pioneers, but the truth is that most companies' portfolios are filled with settlers and migrators. The Pioneer Migrator Settler Map opens your eyes to whether you are truly innovating or just trying to survive in the competition. Now the question arises, if you have to create a blue ocean, where do you start? For this, Blue Ocean strategy provides a practical roadmap, the 6 Paths framework. This framework says that if you want to create a breakthrough in the market, you need to think beyond industry boundaries, meaning you should analyze not just your competitors, but also their substitutes and alternatives. For example, theater and restaurants seem like 2 different industries, but customers use both for entertainment and relaxation in their free time. So if you're a restaurant, then your competitor, if you use it, then your competitor considers both separately. But Blue Ocean strategy says the real opportunity lies in between. That place where the customer value, do you know what your customers are actually paying for? Are they only paying for the product or for the experience? Do you know what their most painful point is? The power of Blue Ocean strategy lies in teaching you to think beyond classic marketing.
It teaches you that differentiation and low cost are possible together if you shape the strategy correctly. Now, a question that often comes to people's minds is, can small businesses do all this, or is it just for large corporations? The answer is, Blue Ocean strategy depends not on size, but on mindset. It also doesn't depend on any geography or sector. It simply depends on how deeply you understand your customer's real need. Another important point is execution. Just creating a strategy is not enough. It has to be implemented at the ground level. And this is where the concept of tipping point leadership comes in, which will be explained in depth in later chapters. For now, the main takeaway from this part is that strategy is not an abstract concept. It's reflected in everyday decisions. The product you've designed, the features you've added, the pricing you've set, the marketing message you've sent. Strategy lives in all of these. If your strategy is limited to, we're doing what others are doing, but slightly better, then you're in the red ocean. But if your strategy says, we're doing something no one has thought of yet, then you're moving towards the blue ocean. Blue Ocean strategy is a lens through which you learn to see the world anew. It teaches that innovation doesn't just come from technology, it comes from understanding. It doesn't just come from products, it comes from perception. And when you create value innovation by understanding your customers' deep needs, that's when a blue ocean is born. Chapter 4, Part 1. Unseen Customer Needs. There are many businesses in the world that consider themselves different, but their differentiation is often only superficial, like branding, packaging, or price. However, Blue Ocean strategy shows you that true differentiation happens when you delve deep into your business model and innovate where most people aren't even looking. This is the difference between surface-level uniqueness and core-level disruption. Now the question is, how can a company create a blue ocean for itself? This requires you to break market boundaries and understand what customers need. The answer isn't found only in current demands, but Blue Ocean strategy says that the real opportunity lies in non-customers, those people who aren't yet involved with your industry.
Imagine you're developing a fitness app. Most companies target those who are already health conscious, who go to the gym and buy fitness gear. But Blue Ocean shifts its focus away from them to those who are outside this entire category. For example, those who find fitness boring, confusing, or inaccessible. If you can create a solution for them that's simple, motivating, and different, you can create a new ocean. At the core of Blue Ocean strategy is a powerful idea: reconstruct market boundaries. This means recreating boundaries that were previously limitations, turning them into opportunities. To do this, you need to go through 6 core paths. 1. Look across alternative industries. Here, you need to go through 6 paths. Look at what alternatives exist to the products used in your industry. For example, if you run a restaurant, you might not only look at other restaurants, but also at home cooking, catering, or ready-to-eat meal providers. 2. Look across strategic groups. Every industry has some high-end and some low-end alternatives, but can you blend the two? Southwest Airlines did. They offered the speed of air travel, but with the price and simplicity of bus travel. 3. Redefine the buyer group. Most companies target the same traditional buyer according to their industry standards. But what if you change the buyer itself from consumer to influencer or user to buyer? For example, children's cereal products often depend on parents' decisions, not directly on children. 4. Look across complementary product or service offerings. Sometimes using a complementary product also requires other products or services. If you can fulfill those complementary needs yourself, the complementary product can be improved and differentiation can be created. For example, Apple didn't just create the iPod, it also provided iTunes, which made music discovery and use seamless. 5. Challenge functional versus emotional appeal. Some industries are purely functional, some purely emotional. But Blue Ocean Strategy says that if you balance or reverse both, a new valuable space can be created. For example, Starbucks transformed coffee from just a product into an emotional experience. 6. Leverage timely trends. Most companies chase trends, but if you can quickly understand the right trends and build strategies based on them, you can stay ahead of the competition. For example, digitalization, wellness, remote work. These are all trends that can be properly leveraged. By understanding these 6 paths and looking at your industry from a new perspective, you'll see many vacuums that no one has filled until today. And that's where the real journey of Blue Ocean Strategy begins. Now, a crucial point is that Blue Ocean Strategy requires a mindset shift. The goal here isn't to beat the competition. The goal is to position yourself where there is no competition. And this is only possible when you think from the customer's perspective, not the product's. Value for the customer doesn't just come from features. Value comes from accessibility, simplicity, emotion, and clarity. And when you design your business on this foundation, you create a space where people are naturally drawn. Remember, a blue ocean isn't created by accident. It's created from clarity, observation, experimentation, and courage. And most importantly, it's created when you let go of your preconceptions and start asking new questions.
Chapter 4, Part 2. Value Innovation. When a company understands that it needs to break the traditional boundaries of its industry, the next step is to move toward value innovation. This is the heart of Blue Ocean Strategy. Here, you don't just innovate, nor do you just cut costs. Instead, you balance both simultaneously to create something that is not only beneficial for the customer, but also profitable for the company. Value innovation means increasing value so much that the customer is amazed and the competition seems irrelevant. Until now, the biggest mistake companies make is either chasing technological novelty or getting caught in price wars. But Blue Ocean Strategy says that if you solve the customer's pain points and create a new value curve, innovation will naturally follow. A great tool for creating this new value curve is the Strategy Canvas. It helps you visualize the differences between you and your competitors. But its real purpose is to show where you are similar and where you can be different. In it, you list various factors that are relevant to a product or service and then see how much importance the industry places on these factors. This is where the ERRC grid comes in: eliminate, reduce, raise, create. This is where value innovation begins. Eliminate. Which factors can be eliminated that are considered standard in the industry but don't create much value for the customer? Reduce. Which factors can be reduced below the industry standard because they are excessive or ineffective? Raise. Which factors can be raised above the industry standard because they are extremely valuable to the customer but neglected? Create. What new factors can be created that have never existed in the industry before but will create a new experience for the customer? This ERRC framework makes the strategy actionable. Many companies only do 1 or 2 of these 4 steps. But in Blue Ocean Strategy, success doesn't come until you think in all 4 dimensions. And when you work in all 4 dimensions, you have an offer that is not only logically good, but also emotionally appealing. Non-disruptive creation mindset. Now let's talk about the mindset that drives this entire process, the non-disruptive creation mindset. This mindset believes that to conquer the world, you don't need to defeat anyone else. Blue Ocean Strategy teaches you to focus on abundance, not scarcity. This mindset says that you can improve in your field alone, without any war, without any comparison. And this mindset is customer-centric. It asks, what do people need now that they aren't getting? And when you look for the answer to this question, you see things from their perspective, not your own. Many companies make the mistake of optimizing their own processes, when the real victory happens where you simplify the customer's journey.
Focus and ERRC application. Another powerful concept in Blue Ocean Strategy is focus. Most companies try to offer everything at once and become average in this confusion. But Blue Ocean Strategy says that you need sharp focus on 2 or 3 key factors that make a real difference to the customer. This focus makes your brand memorable, and this clarity is reflected in you and your marketing. For example, look at Cirque du Soleil. They eliminated some elements of traditional circus, like animals and cheap jokes. They raised the quality of theatrical production. They created a refined artistic experience, and they reduced operating costs. As a result, they not only surprised audiences, but also created a whole new market, something that was neither circus nor Broadway, something completely different from both. Similarly, if you use ERRC in your business or idea and create a focused strategy canvas, you'll see for yourself how you can differentiate yourself in a crowded market without fighting or making noise. Thinking outside the market. For a strategy, ask your customers what they need. But Steve Jobs' famous quote is, "People don't know what they want until you show it to them." Blue Ocean Strategy says the same thing. Think outside the market. This thinking requires discipline, curiosity, and courage. Because when you forge a new path, it may seem strange to people at first, but that's the beginning of real innovation. Experimentation is crucial throughout this entire process. You won't start with the right idea the first time, but every time you experiment, you'll get data and insights that will guide you. Patience and perseverance are the biggest tools on this journey. Remember, the real magic of Blue Ocean Strategy isn't in numbers, but in mindset. It says, stop benchmarking competitors and start creating new space. And that's where real growth happens, sustainable growth. Long-term success stories are created from here. Chapter 5, Part 1. Utility, Price, Cost, and Adoption. Have you ever wondered how some companies attract customers so much without lowering prices or making compromises that people naturally come to them? This happens because they've seen value not just as a number, but as an experience. This is the next big chapter of value innovation, looking at utility, price, cost, and adoption together. Blue Ocean Strategy says that when you create a new product or service, it shouldn't just be new, it also needs to be useful. If something isn't effective for people, no matter how new it is, it won't be successful. So first, you need to see how your offer will improve the customer's life. This is called the Buyer Utility Map. This map combines 7 stages and 6 utility levers. That is, you analyze your product in such a way that you can see, does it simplify the customer's buying journey? Does it save them money, time, or hassle? Does it remove any fear, guilt, or mental barriers? If the answer to these questions is yes, then you know you're on the right track. After verifying utility, the next question is, can people afford to buy it? This is where the game of strategic pricing begins. Blue Ocean Strategy says that if you want to enter a blue ocean, you need to create a perfect balance between value and price. High value and low price? This combination can disrupt any market. Now, many people make a mistake here. They think that a low price means less profit.
But Blue Ocean Strategy teaches that smart pricing means reaching more people, which increases volume and reduces per unit cost.
Cost targeting and reverse costing. To create a blue ocean, you need to do cost targeting. You have to proceed with the thought that at what cost do we need to provide this product so that we can also make a profit at that attractive price. And for this, you have to adopt the strategy of reverse costing, meaning first fix the price, then design the product accordingly. Here you need the eliminate, reduce, raise, create, error framework again. You have to think about which features can be removed or reduced to cut costs and still not compromise value. In a way, this is minimalist thinking, how to create more impact with less. Adoption and implementation. Now, when utility, price, and cost are all in alignment, the game is still not complete. The final and biggest challenge is adoption. When you launch something new, you first need to identify the barriers that can hinder adoption. This can be internal resistance, channel partner hesitation, regulatory issues, or customer behavior. Blue Ocean Strategy says that ignoring these adoption barriers is suicidal. You have to plan for them from the beginning. Don't think you'll solve them after launching the product. A clear adoption plan should be in place before launch. Now, if these four elements, utility, price, cost, and adoption, are viewed together, it creates a realistic blueprint for strategy formulation. It moves you from imagined ideas to reality. And that's what sets Blue Ocean Strategy apart from all other frameworks. One more thing, this strategy is not just for big companies. Any freelancer, startup founder, or sole entrepreneur can adopt it. Whether you sell ebooks, do coaching, or build a tech tool. These four questions ask you, is it useful? Can people afford it? Can we build it at that cost? Will people adopt it? If the answer to these questions in one line is yes, then understand that your Blue Ocean Strategy is ready. Fear of cannibalization. Now let's talk about a subtle but powerful idea, the fear of cannibalization. Many a times, companies don't launch something new because they are afraid that their existing product will be harmed. But Blue Ocean Strategy says, if you don't disrupt yourself, someone else will. So challenging your own bestseller is not just acceptable, it's a sign of foresight. In today's rapidly changing times, disruption is the only constant. The company that changes itself moves forward, and the one that clings to the status quo ultimately becomes irrelevant. After formulating this entire strategy, you have an offer that appeals to both logic and emotion. It's not just data-driven, nor just intuition, it's a combination of both. You can also apply this in your life, your personal brand, career strategy, or even relationships. If you create yourself in a way that is genuinely valuable to others without trying to sell them, people will naturally come to you. And this is the blue ocean, where there is no competition, there is clarity, where there is no fight, there is leadership. Chapter 5, Part 2, Simplicity and Effectiveness. Whenever you've bought a new product, you've surely noticed one thing. Is simplicity, an easy experience that doesn't make you think too much, but naturally attracts you. This simplicity is actually part of the strategy. And that's what Blue Ocean Strategy says. Value innovation is powerful only when it is made simple and seamless. Now, a crucial question arises here. How do you apply all of this? That is, how do you bring these four elements, utility, price, cost, adoption, together in the real world? For this, it's essential not just to plan the strategy, but also to create its specific implementation path. The first practical step for this is to understand the strategic pricing corridor. This concept helps us understand how to set prices keeping in mind different levels of your customer segment. It's a price range that is neither too high nor so low that your perceived value decreases. Have you ever seen some apps launch for free but then create a smooth path from freemium to premium? This is part of the strategic pricing corridor. This price should be such that more people can onboard, but at the same time, both value creation and profit are maintained in the long run.
Psychology of pricing. Then comes the second big element related to pricing: Psychology. Yes, price is not just a number, it's a message. Your price tag itself shows how you're positioning yourself as a luxury and accessible solution or a disruptive low-cost model. Now, if the pricing is correct, the next logical step is cost alignment. Here, the brilliance of Blue Ocean Strategy shines again. It asks, if we have to deliver the product at this price, how much should it cost us to build it? This method is called target costing. That is, deriving cost from price, thinking backward but in a very smart way. In this, you eliminate unnecessary features, streamline non-value-adding processes, and maximize resource optimization. That is, you don't just spend less, but you spend intelligently. One thing to note here, cost reduction should never kill value. Many companies kill the soul of their own product just in the pursuit of cost reduction. But Blue Ocean Strategy teaches that value should remain intact and cost should be intelligently designed accordingly. Adoption barriers. Now think, if your utility is clear, pricing has broad appeal, and costs are under control, why do some products still fail? The answer is adoption barriers. No new idea comes to market without friction. Blue Ocean Strategy divides this friction into 4 categories. 1. Customer resistance. People naturally fear new things. Your responsibility is to reduce that fear, perhaps with trial offers or testimonials. 2. Partner inertia. Your distribution channels, dealers, or affiliates also fear taking risks. You need to give them both trust and incentives. 3. Your team's inertia. Your own team also wants to stay in its comfort zone. Aligning their mindset is extremely important. 4. Laws, industry regulations, certifications, etc. For these, initial preparation and legal awareness are essential. The solution to these 4 challenges is only possible when you don't consider implementation just an operational task, but an emotional journey, where you have to win the trust of every stakeholder.
Strategic sequencing and fair process. Now let's move on to another deep dimension of Blue Ocean Strategy, strategic sequencing. Many times, people consider innovation just creativity, but strategy says that the right time, the right message, and the right implementation sequence are essential. You have to think about what needs to be done first and what later. Whenever you are implementing something new, such as reducing costs, changing prices, or changing the company's direction, focus not only on the results, but also on the process. Fair process means that even if people don't completely agree with the decision, if they feel that the process was fair, they will support that decision. That is, process transparency builds trust, and this trust makes the strategy successful in the real world. Now, imagine you've worked on a new innovation, done market research, and the model is ready, but when it's time to launch it, your team isn't fully aligned with it. This misalignment often turns the brightest ideas into failures. Therefore, a strong bridge between strategy and implementation is needed, and that bridge is people's trust. This fair process depends on 3 things: engagement, explanation, and expectation clarity. Engagement. This doesn't just mean you ask everyone's opinion in a meeting. It means you made them part of the process. When people feel their opinion matters, their ownership increases. Explanation. This means that the reasoning behind any decision made should be clear. When people understand why a decision was made, they feel the process was transparent, even if the outcome wasn't in their favor. Expectation clarity. This means people know what is expected of them. If people don't know what is expected of them, confusion, frustration, and resistance will increase. The biggest benefit of a fair process is that people don't just comply, they commit. That is, they don't work out of compulsion, but with dedication. And this dedication turns an average implementation into an extraordinary one. tipping point leadership and resource reallocation. Now, here's a new question. What happens if you're working on a blue ocean strategy and your industry is very rigid or political? Blue ocean strategy is very realistic here too. It believes that every organization has some sacred cows, systems, roles, or structures that might be outdated but that no one wants to touch. In such situations, blue ocean strategy says first understand tipping point leadership. This means you can't change the entire system all at once, but you can change some key influencers, that is, the people within the organization who are naturally ready to embrace change. For this, you can show them hard data, striking visuals, or clear pain points, which will help them realize for themselves that change is necessary. The answer to no money, no time is smart resource reallocation. This means shifting resources from ineffective areas to high-impact areas. Motivational hurdles often arise because people aren't emotionally involved. Here you need to offer rewards, recognition, and a clear growth path so that people remain internally motivated. When you give people a vision, not just tasks, they consider their work a mission. And finally, one more thing. Strategies don't fail, rather there's a lack of execution. When you build trust through a fair process, bring clarity through tipping point leadership, and create ownership through first-hand experience, that's when an idea truly makes an impact. Chapter 6, Part 2. Have you ever seen a company spend millions on strategy, with consultants coming in, big plans being made, but nothing changing on the ground? Why? Because strategy isn't just about thinking, it requires an environment for execution where every individual understands their role and is committed to fulfilling it. Blue Ocean Strategy doesn't just see execution as a list of actions, but as a mindset, an attitude that influences the organization's culture. This mindset has two key aspects: emotional involvement and strategic alignment. Emotional involvement means employees don't just come to work, they feel their work is connected to a larger purpose. It's a vision that includes innovation, growth, and respect for their personal values. Strategic alignment means every department, every individual, every system is moving in the same direction. No one is taking a separate path on their own.